Sometimes when you're doing the right thing, the only way that you can tell that you are actually on the right path is that the rest of the world is rushing by. I always have taught my kids that to consider themselves like salmon swimming upstream to the place of their birth. They'll know that they're in the right direction, on the right path, if the current is rushing by them and there are big furry bears trying to rip them out of the water. And when it comes to sexuality and purity and waiting until you're married, not just in action but in heart, this is one of those areas that the world goes rushing by. And it is possible to live a life of purity. It is possible to live a life set apart, but it's hard. And everything will be rushing past, and there will be obstacles and rocks and bears trying to snag our kids out of the water. We don't live in the same world that we grew up in. The cartoon characters show way too much flesh. All the lines of sexuality are blurred, and the idea of keeping your heart pure and waiting until you're married is so anti-culture that it's incredibly difficult to understand. As a mom of boys, it's expected by culture that our sons would be sexually active and that they would absolutely test all the waters before marriage. And yet that's not our hope for our kids. So I want to encourage you to have the hard discussions with your kids, but to approach it from a perspective of God's perfect design. Now, the day that I was sitting around the table with 5 kids, that I created the packet that I share in the descriptions below, was all 5 of my kids were sitting at the table. We had not had the talk with 3 of the kids because they were little. They were like 7, 6, and 5 or something. And the little guy, he's coloring. He suddenly goes, "Oh, I figured out how it worked." I go, "What?" He goes, "Well, if boys are like this and girls are like this," he goes, "they must work together." Okay. The son that was just older than him basically had a heart attack. And so I created this way of explaining God's perfect design in marriage in a way that made sense. Like it was a crystal clear picture to me. And many parents have since used this in having the conversation with their kids because it's a simple, non-threatening way to present God's perfect design for a man and a wife in a way that kids can understand. So that's what I'm sharing with you in the descriptions. Don't be afraid to talk about these things with your kids. Don't be afraid to help them learn that it's okay to stand against the current and to avoid the bears because, hey, that's the way life is. And so we start training them up when they're little, and it can be a part of your homeschool lesson or your parenting lesson or just life. So let me know in the comments if you use this activity with your kids. It's worked with my kids, with classroom kids that I've taught, and with many homeschool families and just families in general. So have a great day and let me know what you think. Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Inspired Learning with Becky from abetterwaytohomeschool.com. Before you go, do a couple things for me. Drop a comment and tell me something about your life, something about your day, something you loved from this video, or some random fun thing. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell so that you don't miss anything in the future. Have a great day and embrace the power of inspired learning. Bye.